heard. I wanted to do a video connected to the post that I wrote today. And I just wrote a newsletter about it too. And staying the course, and what do we feel like when, or what to do when we feel like life is testing us. So I shared a piece of my own story today of the journey of buying this ranch. And where this was prompted was through some conversations I had with a couple of women yesterday, that I was sort of inspired to share this part of the journey, and I wanted to share it here. I probably, like many of you guys here, are sort of, spiritually inclined. I like to look for signs. I like to believe that when I'm on course, things are in flow and they're moving, the way that I anticipated. And another thing that I've also learned, so I believe in all of that, and I have also, learned through, some of the bigger invitations that I've had happen in my life, that sometimes things don't go smoothly, and sometimes it's not happening or unfolding the way that I am, and sometimes life feels chaotic. And I always look at that, and I shared, and I'll share a little bit more deeply in this, that we don't always get to see in our world a reflection of what we're hoping the path looks like, and that if whether or not, so I think sometimes we put our stake in, if something is looking like it's not moving the way that we want to, it means that it's not for us. So I shared a little bit of a piece in particular of, this ranch and this journey. And again, I wanted to kind of share it in a video and kind of speak a little bit more deeply to that, in case there's people watching this and maybe there's something that you've just stepped into or you're thinking of stepping into, and the energy might feel really good, but things maybe feel like they're stuck or chaotic around you, and you're kind of trying to make sense of what that means. In 2015, I will say I started my year, and I'm not going to go fully into it, but I didn't start the year in a great place. But midway through the year, hi Misha, I found myself, I made 6 figures, opened a coaching practice, had clients, and then this beautiful ranch showed up. And for most of 2015, it was like things were just like manifesting magically and abundantly, and it was sort of like I was kind of in awe about it. And then this ranch showed up, and I shared in my visioning masterclass I did that, I put a feather on my vision board, and when this ranch showed up, I was seeing feathers everywhere, to the point that I actually had an eagle that was sitting in a tree above me at my place fly, and a feather drop on my head. Like I literally saw this feather drop on my head from this eagle around the time this ranch showed up. So I was getting signs all over the place that this was being divinely guided, and I could step into it. It was a $1.2 million property. I will tell you, I had no money in my bank. I had just actually recovered from being $60,000 in debt. I did not have history of a business that made money. This was, 3 years, my first 3 years of business, I made $24,000 in total each year. And then I went to make like $200,000 in 2015, but I didn't have the history on paper that should have been able to support purchasing $1 million property. And I didn't have $1 million to go buy property, but I went for it because, the universe was showing it to me, and I felt like, I've been able to manifest all these amazing things in my world. I should be able to step into this too. And so I went for it. And when I made the decision to kind of go for it and kind of got serious about it, and that was, hiring a commercial broker, and starting to go to banks to see if I get a mortgage, that's when things started to kind of slow down. The ranch showed itself to me, let's say in June or July. I didn't get financing till October, and I didn't end up moving until December. Ideally, what we had wanted to happen, both myself and the woman that bought this ranch, was that I was able to move October 1st. And, I didn't get approved for financing till the end of October. And so the whole journey and pathway to this ranch, and the timing of it that I thought was going to happen, did not in fact happen. And what instead started to happen is I got a lot of rejection and a lot of no's. And I shared in particular today in my post that there was one moment I remember I was with a client, and I was waiting to hear from my broker, and we had been trying to kind of pitch this getting a mortgage from a bank that specialized in farm properties because I am on farm status. Hold on, Luca, don't you dare. And, we had high hopes that they were going to say yes. He said they had really positive talks with them. And I was sitting with my client and the phone rang. I said, I think I'm going to this because I'm like, feeling very anxious. I pick up the phone and it's a no. And I was devastated. I was confused. I just felt like everything's sinking and I just didn't understand like why things were feeling so hard. And, he kind of assured me we're going to try again. He said, I think we have a good opportunity to get this approved. But, I was sort of like, my sails were deflated. The wind kind of came out from under me. And, I had attached myself to thinking that if this was going to happen, everything was just going to unfold really magically and easily. And it was just like, God, why is this feeling like such a slugfest? And I went inside my house and I remember I always like to look at things, when things aren't moving or it's not appearing, that what's the invitation here? And, one of the things I shared is that it's very easy for us to have faith, to be positive of how things are going when things are unfolding the way that we want them to, right? Oh, things are easy, it's in flow, cool. We don't have to really put effort into holding on to our stakes. But when life kind of throws us a curveball or it's looking like we're being tested, I sort of kind of gathered myself and said, okay, what is this about for me? Because I'm about ready to throw in the towel. And maybe I'm being delusional. Maybe I'm being crazy to think that this is even something I can step into. Like, what am I thinking? Like, this is ridiculous. And I created some space and I felt into, what does this represent for me? And this is a little bit of a similar conversation I had with some women yesterday. And to me, this ranch and kind of going for it and staying was a stake for me about really putting my stake in the ground of saying, I really believe in the possibility of my dreams. I believe in my capacity to hold things, and I'm committed to that. So it became not so much about the ranch, but about me staying the course and that belief in self and that this is my purpose and this is my calling. And sort of everything that was happening around me kind of reforged that commitment. And so I sort of look at sometimes life and the journey that we're on. It's not about the thing that we're going towards or the success that we're building. It's an opportunity for us to really partner and put the stake in of what does this mean for us and what does it look like for me to live in alignment to that, regardless of what's happening in our life. Because I think it's very easy for us human beings, especially when we're feeling vulnerable and we lack self-belief and we lack courage, that if somebody tells us you're being crazy or you're being silly or you can't do this, and no, we're like, okay, you're right. And we bail, we jump ship. It's harder to stay in the faith and belief of something, even when there's signs all over you that you shouldn't. I remember telling my parents about this property, my mom screaming at me like, you're crazy. And, some people closest to me saying, it's a pipe dream, like, good luck, it's never going to happen. And I had all those insecurities too. Who am I? I'm young, like $1 million property, like, come on. And I'm single, and that's a lot to hold. But I really believe in our capacity as human beings, and I believe in our ability to create amazing things. And this was my way of proving that to myself. And if the ship was going to go down, and this is something I say, it wasn't going to go down because I abandoned it. I think that there's a dance and a line between overstaying our course. But I think for the most part, sometimes when things are getting hard or we're feeling tested about things, we get scared. And so we bail. And so I made a decision that night that I wasn't going to bail. And even if the bank was saying no, that is not holding power over me, whether or not I'm going to pursue what this ranch represented. And so I kind of got recommitted to myself energetically. And what that sort of manifested as is I kind of did a bit of a visualization, and I saw myself really stepping into what this represented. And also a check-in that a part of me was, of course, terrified that I knew that this ranch was going to stretch me and test me and be the hardest thing that I ever did in my life. And I was scared about being able to do that, about undertaking a greater financial obligation. I had just, I had one day in 2015 where I was debt free, and it felt really amazing. I was like, I worked so hard to be debt free. And then I bought the ranch and I went right back into debt. Now having to, work my way through that again. But I was okay with that because I thought to myself, but this is what I believe in. And this ranch really also represents a way that I can really deepen my purpose and give homes to more horses, and to really be that mirror of what we have capacity to step into. Within 48 hours of me having that, come to Jesus moment with myself, I got a call from my broker saying the bank had approved me for a mortgage after saying no. So the bank originally said no. We went back again with I think he said we pitched it from a new angle, and they said yes, and I got approved. So I think that, that whole thing of like, is having somebody say no, and the same person, the same energy came around and said yes after, sort of this process. And then, and then I wish I could say to people, hi, Lisa, I wish I could say to people that after I got approved for the mortgage, that it was all smooth sailing from there. And I would say that would be also a lie. There was a little bit of a journey I had to go with the woman who owned the property. And, once we put in the offer, there was a lot of back and forth. There was another moment where she wasn't really coming along the way that we had thought she would. And we were going to pull out altogether again. So there was sort of another moment where also we were looking at, now we got approved for the mortgage. The person who's selling the property is sort of sticking her heels in and being what we thought a little bit unreasonable. And so, the deal almost fell through again. So it sort of was a series of getting signs everywhere and also being majorly tested. And so I think the point of, what I wanted to share with this story, in both the posts, if you guys are just hopping in, I'd watch the replay and read the posts I did today, is it's easy for us to get distracted and to make up stories about if things are feeling hard or they're not going the way that we want, or there's distraction, or there's slow movement, then it means that we're not moving in the right direction, or that it's not meant for us and we should just give up. And sometimes it's an invitation to get recommitted to your stake and to think about, what does this represent for me? So maybe it is a property you're looking to buy and things have been slow, or maybe it's a program you want to step into and you're waiting for the money, or maybe it's, whatever your version of that is for you right now. What does that thing that you're moving towards, what is it asking of you to commit to with yourself? And what's the, oh, good. Oh, yes, I have given you crazy days. Perfect. So I'm so glad this is helpful. And by the way, I have many of those. I will tell you a confession. I still have times where I wake up in my day where I think, am I being delusional? So this is what helps me, because this is a different conversation and a different video altogether. But supporting $1 million ranch and 26 horses and a business is a completely other beast that I might talk about later in the week. But so I think coming back to this, what really helps me is to remind myself of what is this about, because it's not. There was that point where I became that the ranch, it wasn't about the ranch, and it wasn't about buying the ranch. It was about my commitment and devotion to my belief of how I want to live and create my life, and about my purpose, and that is the most important thing to me in the world, and nothing is going to blow me off of that course. You can see I'm getting emotional about that. And I will tell you, that is my continued stake. When my first year here was the hardest year of my life, I'll share a little bit about it. I had adrenal fatigue. I went back into debt. I got trampled by a horse. One of my beloved horses died a little bit traumatically. It was like the year from hell. And it was really hard for me to understand how this could happen and it be so hard. And I really sort of looked at it as life is giving me this opportunity to deepen my stake, that no matter what life throws at me, because life is going to do life. And I think this is what we have to understand. No matter how spiritual we are or how much we believe in like the ease of things, life is always going to be life, and life is going to be chaotic. And sometimes there's going to be death, and sometimes there's going to be hard times, and sometimes there's going to be disagreements and contrast and everything. That's going to always be there. But we don't have to be blown off by that. And we don't have to be impacted so much about what's happening around us that we lose faith and we lose belief in ourself and our core and our center. And so my journey always is, can I wake up in my day, and no matter what happens in my day, can I stay the course of what I know that I want to nurture and cultivate within myself? And can I stay aligned to the vision of my purpose? And can I stay in the place of service? And can I stay in cultivating that the outside world is not the thing that has me decide how I'm going to feel about something or how I'm going to believe about something or whether or not I'm going to stay? So, I put my stake in the ground and I said, I'm here. And I'm staying, and you can throw the winds at me, and you can throw the storm, and you can throw fire, and I will stay. I physically might have to move, but it's more of that metaphoric and energetic of I'm staying committed to myself and I'm staying committed to my path. And I really, really believe that, the ranch tested me in that in a way, in a really big way, both because it was in $1 million, just because of the magnitude of what it was. And it forged that. And that's my practice, every day. What does it look like for me to hold that? There's things that happen every day that, could blow me off course. I'm self-employed. I have a business, and a hospitality business where, one day I could have, I thought somebody was going to have a booking for $10,000 and they back out, and it's like, shit, where's the money coming from? And then the next day somebody books for $10,000 and pays me in full. And that happens to me all the time. It is a roller coaster ride. And I've learned that I have to hold my equilibrium through that. So it's not always, sometimes when things are going crazy around us, it's not always a sign that we need to change course. We might have to adjust our way of meeting it, but it doesn't mean that we need to abandon the path. And the reality is that most paths worth creating through is going to be a little bit of both. We're going to have where we feel energetically the rightness of where we're at and we get signs of it, and it's probably going to be really shitty and hard sometimes. And I think that that's sort of the combination. I think what we creates ease is how we hold it within us. So I can see my growth of where things used to just knock me out. I still get knocked out sometimes, but my recovery is a lot quicker. And so I kind of shared the story with two women that were looking to join me in a course, and I said, let this be, this journey and this entry into what this represents for you, a way for you to really step into the stake of what is the symbolism of this for you? Is this about finally putting some energy into that this is my purpose and I want to step into it? And I'm going to hold that intention regardless of what's going on around me. Has it been that, it's been a couple years where you've thought that you wanted to really pursue your calling and you haven't because of X, Y, Z? And what does that look like for you to hold that intention, even if things are, kind of moving and shifting? Another one of my lovely clients is also going through a little bit of chaos right now where, her job is not completely concrete, but she's been wanting to step into her work for a few years. So I was like, great, use this as that opportunity to really cultivate what you're wanting to cultivate in order to support that. So let it be an invitation to something deeper. And so that was my journey. And sometimes it's going to feel like it's flowing really easy, and sometimes it's not. When it's not, I always, again, like to look at what's the invitation here for me? What am I being invited towards holding for myself? And am I in alignment with that, or have I fallen away from that core belief? And whether it's believing in my vision or believing that I can create abundance. And again, it's easy to do that when life is going really great, harder for us to stay that. And so this is how I measure whether I'm committed or devoted or in alignment with that. How much do I lose my shit when something around me doesn't go the way that I want? And if I'm feeling strong in that alignment, I might freak out about it for half an hour and then I'm good. If I'm feeling a little bit wobbly around my stake, it might take me out for a couple days. And so again, I sort of use that as, all right, what's my stake? What's my intention? What is this really about? What is this feeling of discomfort giving an opportunity? And I think this is an important piece that we have to embrace. It's going to be uncomfortable. I think that the fear, the terror, the discomfort is all part of that place of courage, and I think manifestation and success. I will say that whatever quote unquote success I've created, you know, including the manifestation of this place, came with a hefty experience of discomfort and fear and tears and doubt. And that all was like a representation for me of where there's still space for me to grow into what my belief for my life is and what I want to inspire out in the world. And so, you know, I share these pieces to inspire people, and it also helps remind me of why it's important for me to cultivate that within myself, if not to prove to myself that I can do it, but also to other people that we have that power. And contrast gives us sometimes that invitation to really go deep and find that well of power and strength and vision and faith. And so I encourage wherever you are, you know, and so I'm glad for Jennifer. You know, if we feel like we're crazy and we're doing crazy stuff, and the crazy, you know, and we're doubting that is, and I know it's hard because, you know, potentially the majority of the ones around us in our world don't support that way of living in the world, but it doesn't mean we have to abandon it. I would say that, you know, I've had to hold my own set of belief systems, and sometimes I feel like I'm the only one empowering them. You know, I wasn't raised in a household where we encouraged manifestation and spirituality. You know, it was mostly, I was the crazy, ungrounded woo-woo one, you know. So I had to cultivate my belief that I believe that that way of being in the world works, and I believe that it's powerful. And I'm shown that again and again and again, and I'm tested in that again and again and again. But that's an opportunity is to find and regroup what's your stake and come back to that, no matter what life is giving you. And what life is giving you shouldn't be dependent on whether you stay in that course or not. If you need prayer and if you need guidance or clarity of if this is serving your highest good, I think that's another conversation, you know. So sometimes if I'm like, is this in the highest good of myself and others to pursue this, and I'm not sure, there's that. But if I'm not sure because it's not looking that way or I'm scared, chances are it's probably all right. And I'm maybe being a little bit more dramatic than I need to be, and it's an invitation for me to get regrounded. So I wanted to kind of share that with you guys today. As a side to kind of part of these shares, I know that this week I've been sharing, I created a year-long journey called the Journey of Visioning and Manifestation. And basically it's my opportunity to kind of share some of my processes of how I've been able to create, you know, what I've done in my business and also in my life, and to share, you know, some of the rituals and the journeys with the horses for people that are really wanting to commit to bring their visions to life going into 2019. I know how hard it is sometimes to stay that course and to stay grounded and centered in our energy, and how it can help to have a container holding us that especially aligns with our belief systems, right? If we're kind of cultivating a belief system that is not kind of held out there. It's also, you know, as I am kind of closing down this group, and so if people are seeing this, and I will be, oh, thank you, you're welcome, Lisa. And for people that don't know about this, and I'll be speaking to more of it, I am closing down this Facebook group. I'll be speaking more about it, you know, next month, and the purpose and the intention, and, you know, where you can, you know, go and find it if you've appreciated the content. But if you've resonated with what I'm sharing, if you're looking to have a container of support, that is not a huge investment. So this was also a way for me to kind of share some of my facilitation and medicine for horses for, you know, a reasonable investment for people that aren't at that space that they can really invest a lot. And you get, it's over email, but every month there's prompts. The first email I wrote was 5 pages long, and I'm going really deep into like the like kind of what I'm doing here, and sometimes a little bit deeper in the post of what is the ritual that I can do around this, what's the visualization. And then I recorded a 20-minute guided audio with Callie, one of my mares, to give you a guided journey to go into doing the ritual. So it's just, you get kind of like every month you're getting these like really deep, expansive things that I use in my own world that I don't always share the extent of it here, that you can, you know, use for yourself in your journey, and to stay the course of where your soul is taking you, to vision from a place of that, of authenticity, and to be held in a space that empowers that maybe alternative belief system of your capacity. So that's what that journey is all about. It starts December 1st. So that's this Saturday. It's $35 a month, or $397 for the entire year. And it's a lot of deep, rich content. And it'll really help support, keep people on track and on course. And when you're having those crazy days and you need a nudge or reminder and a process to keep you centered, you will get that every month, delivered to your email box. And it can be processes and rituals that you come back to and you use again and again and again. It also will include my 2-hour visioning masterclass for people that missed it. And I've already heard from people, it's like the best thing they've ever heard on vision boards. This shit works. It's what I've done to manifest this place and $1 million to buy it. So it's really, really good. I'm biased, of course, but I think that if you've enjoyed this space and if you're looking for a little bit more, if you've looked for your opportunity maybe to partner with me and just haven't had the resources to do that, this might be a softer place to do that. So I'm going to add the link in the comments for people that want to join me. And otherwise, I hope today, if you just needed to hear this message today and it gives you affirmation to keep going on, you know, where you're feeling called to go, I hope that gives you a, you know, it continues to kind of nurture that you're not crazy. And again, I would come back to, what am I being invited to hold for myself, and what's that stake, and what is this symbolic of that I'm holding for myself? So I will offer that to you, and then happy visioning, happy staying the course. I promise it gets easier. This too shall pass. And sometimes the crazy gives us like the best places of strength that we could possibly get. And as human beings, we just don't get that when things are going great, right? Like sometimes we need to be pushed a little bit to an edge to find the gold in us. So, you know, just know that sometimes that's what the journey is about, and to just stay. You know, I love that one card I have. I think it's Doreen Virtue's Mermaid deck of don't quit 5 minutes before the miracle occurs. And so, you know, this final test is, can I stay the course and then witness what happens when I do? So I will leave that there. And I will see you guys. I'll be sharing a little bit more about the year-long thing till the end of the week. And again, I would love to have some of you guys join me. I think it'll be very powerful. And if not, I hope that you got a lot of good medicine from this today. And again, I'll be kind of sharing, I'll doing more stuff about what's happening when this group closes down, and where it's gonna go from there in another probably post and video. All right. In the meantime, as a side note, if you're watching this, if you're new here, if there's things you want to know or is resonating with you, let me know, because I'm always happy to, you know, share different aspects of the journey. I'm pretty transparent. Oh, the other thing I'll just quickly add, I have a free resource library on my website that has some really great free content. I've been told that it's like a really good library. If you're interested on like hearing more of the story of this ranch and, you know, some guided journeys and stuff, hillaryschneider.com. And you can go right to the homepage, the free resource library, and it'll give you a lot of like live calls and master classes I've done over the year that are really, really good. So if you're looking to kind of have some of the free content stuff, that's another place to look to. All right. Okay, guys, we will see you. Have a great rest of your day, and stay the course.